Masechet, sorry. Masechet Zevahim Daf Pei Amud Aleph, 13 lines down by the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Elazar lo hechshu Rabbi Eliezer ela shnayim shnayim. When Rabbi Eliezer said in our Mishnah, when we had a cup of blood from a moom animal got mixed with a cup of blood from a non-moom animal, and then one of them was thrown. He said it's only mutar if you put both at the same time. Aval had lo, but if you did one at a time, it's not. Mati Razimi, 1 second. I'm saying I feel because kulan chutz mi echad men yishbech lama. It says over here, Mishnah. Second case says that if you pour all the blood except for one, you still have to kish it. Sounds like the Ezra was saying even from the last cup. Where it says, "Ma dera b'ya akol v'biri b'ya." But tachlifa asbir lach. I'll explain it to you. Maya echad. What does it mean by one left? It doesn't mean one physically. Zug echad means one pair. Utzricha. Why we need similar cases regarding the limbs that got mixed and the cups that got mixed? The eighth one, I mentioned the case of the limbs. But how come Rabbi says that you can still bring it? Mishum te'tabed b'kaparato, because when you apply the blood, the guy gets kapara. Alabaha, in the case of the blood that mixed, maybe you agree to Rabbanan that you can't throw it. If you had Mahabil mention the case of the blood, maybe maybe only the Rabbanan would say that you can't bring it. Alabaha, in the case of the limbs, you can bring it because the blood is thrown, therefore it's Reicha, and in both cases say the Machlokes applies by both. It's not how the Mishnah says. So the Hitchin Aflu Tocha Ma'in Shel Koshu. If a flask of paraduma water fell into any amount of regular water, you throw two sprinkles in the person so that you're at least getting for sure amount of paraduma water. Because he holds this in mixing, and therefore mixing it becomes pasul. Every single drop that you'll be throwing onto this guy can have a mixture of non-paraduma water. So therefore, since you have to have a minimum sprinklage, and therefore it doesn't combine. What does he hold? In below, he holds no mixing. Even if he does twice, what does it help? Maybe he's sprinkling regular water twice. If you hold, there is mixing. But if you hold the sprinkling does not need a minimum amount, why need two? One should be enough. Must be you need to have minimum amount. But if you hold it, there's no combination of sprinklings. Still, what is two sprinklings doing? And if you do combine, who holds the second amount to be having the necessary amount. Therefore, we have to explain this. Marshall's case for explanation, there is a blending. And mixing and sprinkling does need a minimum amount. One measure of water mixed with one measure of hatat water, therefore you need two sprinklings. So Amar says that there is mixing. But as the answer, a sprinkling does not need a minimum amount. And therefore, there's a task, a find that Hachamim made, you don't want to benefit from the non-kosher water. Rashi says, and bila, no mixing. Therefore you sprinkle twice, because then you'll for sure get hatat water. Metzvah, question. Rabbi Meir says the Divrei HaOmer, according to the opinion of the Divrei Abel according to the Hazak kosher that any amount of sprinkling of the kosher water makes him kasher, tahor. Hazak tzicha or sprinkling does not require a minimum amount. Hazak mehsa kasher mehsa vasul. And water used for the sprinkling can be half regular paraduma water and half regular water. So you see, Rabbi was not. When Rabbi said that, when Rish Lakish said Rabbi does not need it, he's wrong, seemingly, because you do need it. Where it says, the all time another question is, when we said the blood should be put on top, should have weakness supposed to be in the bottom of his bath. There was one that says, you should put it on top. And the water and the blood on top, on the bottom will count. So what's the problem from the second case? VE and beloved, if you hold no mixing, why would it count? Maybe the top will go on the bottom will go on top. Most majority is top. And when he's putting on top, he's putting on top of the line more than the minimum of the lower blood as well. So it must be that some of the upper blood is put above on top. Whereas but the bottom counts. Seemingly that is still kosher. But why are you not worried the lower blood was on top? Where it says the Shem Shiraim over there means that this for the sake of pouring out, not the below the red line korban, but rather the extra blood that's done, you need to pour it out. That's fine. Tashma. I tell them someone applied blood from the mixture, but below the red line without asking questions. The other Medrash says, Yahsur, we tell him he should go back and reapply above. Batanim alone, the bottom will count. Now, if he has no mixing, how can it be kosher? Where it says, again, talking about case majority, upper blood, because he's applying more than the minimum amount of more than the amount of lower blood that he had. Gemara says, again, what about the lower blood? The Gemara says, Hashem Shalayim, extra blood. Okay. Tashma. And then someone applied above blood and did not ask questions. Everybody agrees that he has to go back and put the rest. And both bloods count. But if it was a holds no bundling, why does it count? Maybe it was done the wrong way. When it says, again, it says over here, maybe it's talking about case majority upper, and again, he put the most more of the same question. That says it counts. Right? So no, they agree this both counts. But say both counts. Say and therefore, why over here does it count? It's because it's according to the Hamim. But the other might still argue. Tashma, next question. Bloods need one application. Other bloods need one throwing. You could do it once. Via Martin Blood, he holds no blending. And why does one count? Maybe he's playing wrong ones for each one. Marceski going to you have a mixture of one versus one amount, total parallel quantity proportionate, and therefore if you're doing two singles, it counts. I said 4 and 4. Why does that count? Versus it's my case where you use four applications, it makes the four applications the exact amount, and therefore it counts. Let's say 4 to 1. How does that work if there's no mixing? Where it says, in seconds, it's impossible to say that answer because our Mishnah said that if you told Yeshua, you can't do it because you're adding. But if there's no adding, meaning it's the exact amount, there's no such thing as adding. No extra is made. So you have to re-explain how our Mishnah fits with Rashi. We'll explain tomorrow.